All right, everyone. Gerfalcon's Halberg, I think is how you say it, is finally re-enabled again, and I figured I definitely need to make a build on this. This is one of the best hunter exotics in the game right now, and it's arguably one of the best builds you can play on the hunter out of all the updated subclasses. This exotic is basically an offensive Omnioculus, and if you love the Omnioculus playstyle, this is going to fit right into that, and honestly be even better, especially for damage scenarios. So just jump right into it. This exotic has a lot going on for it, so grab some popcorn. I'm going to read this whole description to show you how everything works. So we have See Me, Feel Me as the exotic trait. Your weapons gain a bonus to damage briefly after you emerge from being invisible. When you're invisible and defeat a combatant using a finisher, you and your nearby allies gain a reserve overshield and improved class ability regen. These reserve overshields can be deployed by using a class ability. Now that's actually not all the benefits it has. It does have some secret things as well, which I will show you in 1 second once we get loaded in. Okay, so we're loaded in. The first thing to easily show off is the damage increase once you get coming out of invisibility. So if we just shoot this goblin, we do 1,481 damage. We go invisible, come out. Now we're going to do 1,863. This is a 35% damage increase, which is one of the highest damage increases in the entire game. And just having the ability to, just go invisible and shoot. Now you're doing 35% more damage to whatever boss that you're fighting. Now, the next thing to show off is its finishing aspect. So if we come up here, we'll get this goblin finished right here. We're going invisible. Now we're going to finish it. And as you see, we get that damage once we're coming out of invisibility, but we now have our reserved overshield and we had that improved cooldown rate. So I can go in and dodge again immediately, which is really, really cool. And you can kind of just keep spamming that, and as you see, I do get that overshield, which is going to help out with survivability. But now a secret perk of this is that this exotic will actually volatile enemies if you finish enemies while you're invisible near each other. So as you see, all these enemies are volatile now, and this is going to play heavily into our build and things we can do with this, which I will be getting into right now. One more thing to note really quick is that the overshield and that improved class ability will actually go to your teammates alongside you as well. But all right, getting into the build, let's start talking about our aspects. And I think the main one we need to talk about first is Vanishing Step. So dodging makes you invisible. It's very simple. You dodge, you go invisible. That is going to play heavily into the damage perk of this, and it's going to let you get some of the highest DPS off out of any member in a raid team. Now, the dodge I personally like to take with this is Marksman Dodge. This has the lowest cooldown out of both of the dodges, and it's also going to reload your gun when you dodge. So all you have to do, say you're shooting something like a linear fusion, dodge, it's going to be reloaded, and then on top of that, you're getting a 35% damage increase just for hitting this dodge. It is extremely strong, and it is something that pairs together just so well. Obviously, this works with any power weapon. It's not just linear fusions, and it works with literally every weapon in the game. You just dodge, just reload it, you get more damage. Now, the other cool perk to take with this is going to play heavily into the second aspect of the build, and that is the finishing playstyle. More of the assassin playstyle, just finishing everybody. So this is going to make it when I defeat weakened, suppressed, or volatile targets, I'll become invisible, which again, obviously is going to help out with the damage buff, and it's going to grant me True Sight. This will let you see things through walls. It's not that big of a deal in PvE, but I guess it is cool if you're trying to see where enemies coming from. But then after you perform a stylus execution, my next melee attack while I'm invisible will also weaken enemies. That part is kind of whatever. The main thing is you're going to go invisible when you actually kill an enemy that has one of those effects on them. Now, most people recommend taking Echo of Obscurity because finisher final blows will make you invisibility, which is obviously going to be really good so you can get out of the fight. The thing is though with Stylus Executioner is since you are applying volatile to those enemies that you're finishing, that volatile counts as a kill and you automatically are going to go back invisible anyway. So this is kind of giving you an additional fragment slot because it's kind of just giving you Echo of Obscurity just without that 10 recovery, and anywhere else you're defeating enemies with these debuffs on them, you're also going to go invisible, which is really good. Now with this playstyle, I actually like to take all my other abilities just to weaken targets. So specifically, I like to take the Deadfall super because this is going to heavily increase the time that your tether will actually debuff the enemy, unlike things like Mobius Quiver where it does have a lot of DPS. And if you want to take this, you could, but I like having that long weaken effect. Since Divinity is going to be getting its nerf, I think this is going to become one of the strongest supers in the game. Now your Snare Bomb is automatically going to debuff targets or weaken targets, so just having this on hand as well, just to have a small weaken effect, is going to be nice. It is not as strong as the super, but it is still really good if you don't have any weaken effects. And then finally, I'm going to be running Vortex Grenade with the Fragments Echo of Remnant, so this is basically going to increase the duration of my Vortex Grenade. I'm also going to run Echo of Undermining so my Void Grenades can weaken targets. So my main thing is that I'm never even going to be using these abilities, my melee grenade or super, until I need to weaken a tougher enemy or a boss. And mainly for the ad clear, it's just going to be the increase of damage I I'm getting on top of the finishers being able to do volatile everything. But now I'm also going to be taking Echo of Starvation, so whenever I pick up an Orb of Power, it's going to grant me Devour. Devour is extremely strong. When you get kills, you fully restore your health, and you're going to get grenade energy back, and all you have to do is pick up an Orb of Power. On top of that, I will be taking Echo of Persistence, so this is going to make my Devour and Invisibility and Overshield, if you ever do get that, have increased duration. Since you're heavily playing into Invisibility and a little bit of Devour, this is just going to be really nice to constantly keep the flow of those two effects up, and you're going to be able to do pretty much whatever you want to without ever having to worry about survivability at all. Now, speaking of survivability, you don't have to take 100 resilience since you're mainly going to be invisible 24/7. I honestly probably would still recommend doing it just because of how strong it is, but you for sure want 100 mobility so you can get your dodge back as much as possible. 100 mobility plus like a marksman dodge puts you at around 14 seconds to get a dodge back, and we're going to play into getting that back even faster with some of our other stuff. Like I said, for your melee super grenade, you're mainly just using those to weaken, so you don't have to worry about the cooldowns that much, and recovery is pretty much going to cover your Devour, so resilience and mobility are, in my opinion, the best ways to go. Now for weapons, I would recommend taking void weapons because we're going to be running Font of Might. Things like Taipan is going to be extremely good. You can dodge, get Font of Might. Now you're going to be doing even more damage with the Font of Might mod and the exotic chest piece, and I would highly recommend running the title if you do have it, because this does have the perk Classic Contender. So Final Blows, this weapon is going to grant class ability energy, so you want to get your class ability back as much as possible. This is going to help out with that. Plus it is a void SMG, and you can roll with things like stats for all and one for all. Unfortunately, this is from an event, and if you don't have it right now, you cannot farm it. So other options would be things like the Unforgiven, or just any void weapon is going to also work really well, or just any weapon in general, just taking it in game if you need champion specific mods. Also, just have an Arbalist on here. You can interchange these as much as possible, but I would say the title is definitely the best in slot for this build if you do have one. Now for mods of this build, since we're going to be dodging a lot, I do like to take Reaping Wellmaker. So this is going to make it after I dodge. Since we're going to be doing that a lot, I'm going to actually spawn a Void Elemental Well on my next weapon kill. Play into that Void Well. I will also be taking Well of Tenacity, so whenever I pick up a Void Elemental Well, it's going to reduce the damage I take from combatants for a short time. So this will stack with all your resilience. You get even more damage reduction. If you do want to take this out for things like Well of Utility, so whenever you pick up a Void Elemental Well, it's going to grant you even more class ability energy on top of what it normally gives you. This is also really good to make sure you get that class ability back all the time. You're already pretty much going to have 100% uptime with the current build that you're looking at right now, but if you do need a little bit more class ability energy, I would recommend taking Well of Utility over Well of Tenacity. Now, like I said, I'm also going to be running Font of Might, so whenever I pick up that Void Elemental Well, I will get more damage for my void weapon. So again, title, Taipan, probably best in slot for these, but if you don't have things like the title, pretty much anything will work. But being able to just dodge, get a kill, come out of your invisibility with a Font of Might, so you have your exotic chest piece, Font of Might, and the ability to weaken. So you have 3 different ways to weaken an enemy. It is just an absurd amount of damage. Now, I also am taking Seeking Wells, so I can actually get those wells I spawn to travel to me, so I have even more uptime on my damage, so I don't have to worry about running somewhere to pick them up and having that cooldown of my weapon damage boost go down. And then finally, I'm actually going to be running Reactive Pulse, which plays into the other part of the build. So whenever I finish an enemy, I am going to actually gain a powerful overshield. So since I go invisible, you're pretty much unkillable. Then when I finish the enemy, I'm going to come out of invisibility. I will still be unkillable because I will have that overshield. And then I will also go back invisible because I will be killing a volatile enemy. Since then I will be proccing Stylus Executioner, and I will then also have a reserve overshield for my next dodge. So it's just a bunch of invisibility, it's a bunch of dodges, and I think this mod plays heavily into that and is very fun. Now, some other mods that are really crucial to this is Utility Kickstart. So whenever you use your class ability, you're going to get energy back. With 2 of these, they do stack. You're going to get around 20% of your class ability energy back. So it's basically shaving that 14 seconds down to almost 10 seconds, probably 11 seconds. Obviously, on top of everything else we already went over with things like our Void Elemental Wells, our title with the Classic Contender trait, you're going to be getting this thing back really fast, so you can constantly keep rocking the exotic perk. Now, I am also going to be running Harmonic Siphon, so this is going to make when I get Rapid Weapon Final Blows that match my subclass type, I will spawn an Orb of Power. To take advantage of that Orb of Power, I'm also going to be running Insulation, so whenever I pick up the orb, I'll get even more class ability cooldown. So everything I just went over, now you also have Insulation when you pick up orbs, which is already going to be really good because picking up orbs is going to give you Devour, so you need to have an ability to access that anyway, so you're getting even more benefits from just picking up an Orb of Power. Then for the final mods, obviously run whatever ammo finders or scavengers you need to. If you want to interchange this out with any other mods, you could do that as well. Be sure to run your resistances, so if you're taking this into in-game content. And speaking of in-game content, you can run whatever champion mods you need depending on whatever in-game content you're going into. But since I do run the title just for casual play, I do like to just run a SMG reloader. But that is pretty much the build. Again, remember, just go invisible with Fantasy Step, come out, you're going to do a lot more damage with all your weapons. You also have all your mods you can play into to spawn your elemental wells, get your damage reduction, get your damage buffs from it. You also have your survivability or reactive pulse on top of things like Stylus Executioner. You're always going to be invisible. You have 3 different ways to weaken enemies, and you also have Echo Persistence. So pretty much everything the build is just going to be even better, makes everything easier to keep up. And literally all you have to do is just dodge and then choose to just go to town with damage, or just be very survivable when you go up to finish enemies. But I think that's going to do it all for me. I really hope y'all enjoy, and if you want to try the build out, I will have a dim link to this build in the description below. Let me know what y'all think about it, and if you guys did enjoy and want to see more content just like this, consider subscribing, drop a like, and turn those notifications on. Also, if you want to join my Discord or follow me on any of my socials, all that will be linked in the description as well. But just know watching this video is way more than enough, and that every single bit of support from y'all is truly appreciated. Thank y'all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.